Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Evan Here's Culture campaign. Today we've got yet another special guest in the line of esteemed guests we've had on. She is an actor, she is a writer, she's a woman of the world, and she is a horror aficionado, which is why she's such a good fit for this episode. It is Kayla Devereux. How are you doing today, Kayla?
Hello, I'm great. My dog is chewing on my hand right now. I'm having a blast.
So today, the album on the table is a very strange one. It's an aberration from the norm because it is the soundtrack, the original score for 2014's Under the Skin.
Yes.
A very little seen movie. So we're not just hearing culture today. We're seeing culture. So this is the only time this will ever happen. Spoiler alert. If you want to see Under the Skin, we're going to be talking in depth about it. So,
great. Ow.
How did you first see this film?
Do you mean like where did I see it?
Yeah, where did you see it? How did you find out about it?
I found out about it from you, I'm pretty sure. You were like, have you seen, I'm not even kidding, you're like, have you seen this movie? And I was like, no, I'm gonna watch it.
Oh,
and
really?
then I watched it.
I thought you said, yes, I love it. But maybe my memories have really messed up on that. Yeah. So you watched it.
Sure I rented it from somewhere like I do with most movies.
Yeah, I watched it on the Showtime website because I still had a subscription through Emerson. At the time that I watched it back on Thankssgiving because I didn't.
Oh, that's a great
alone
movie.
Perfect. Yeah, it's all about the spirit of giving and being thankful.
Yeah,
is a key aspect of the film. Basically, for those who don't know, which is most people,
yes,
it is a movie where Scarlett Johansson plays it's very ambiguous. She plays some sort of alien woman who goes around Scotland, maybe a synthetic robot, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Who goes around seducing men and killing them to do something that we don't quite know what it is. Some sort of draining their energy, sapping their energy or something like that.
Like a succubus of sorts.
Yes, very much a succubus. Yes, it takes goes around finding men, which is some of it's hidden camera too.
Which is honestly like very cool. Like I'm all for that.
Which is it's insane because it's Scarlett Johansson, who was big in 2014.
It's like this tiny little movie that like like I feel like a lot of people haven't seen. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. I think the director is from the UK. I think he's British. I don't think Jonathan Glazer. And then it was filmed in Scotland, and she learned because a big part of it is she's driving a van.
True.
She learned how to drive the van, which people are always like, when actors learn to do that kind of stuff, they're like, oh my gosh, she really learned how to drive that van. It's a fucking van. This
True.
Is not, learning how to drive is not some cool talent that
true.
not everybody can do. But yeah, she picks up men, she takes them to her strange void, which is what it's referred to as in the titles of the score. And kills them, maybe.
Yeah.
and eventually acquires some sort of awareness that what she's doing might be wrong, or there's some moral complications to it, and goes on more of a journey to discover some humanity. But she barely says anything. There's almost no dialogue in the movie at all. She's billed as the woman.
Which is why the score is so great. You get all of the emotion, and that I feel like really tells a lot of the dialogue for the movie, like, because we don't know what's happening, and like really you don't really know what's happening. It's kind of because, like you said, it's very ambiguous, it's very vague, but then like you have like what's the first song is like called Creation on
Yeah,
the soundtrack. So like that comes in and
which
it's
is
like
this
very
wonderful
eerie
scene.
and it's like whispery and like it's so good.
And there's like an eye that's being built when it's going on, and some
Yeah.
words. Because when I turned it on, it was really late at night, and it was Thanksgiving. And I was like, maybe I'll just watch a little bit of this, see what's happening. And then the second the score came in, I was like, well, I'm gonna watch this whole thing tonight. I'm not gonna turn it off. But the score is crucial. It's
Yeah.
absolutely crucial. It's done by Mica Levi,
Yeah.
who had an album that came out last week, actually, her first solo album that's not a film score. So
Yay.
congratulations for her. She's also
Are
part of
you
the
if
band.
you're watching this,
Yeah,
Mika
if she
Levi,
somehow decides to watch
congratulations.
this. But it's absolutely crucial because if it wasn't there, the film would fall apart.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
It
and
wouldn't
and and like if you try like and it's not like because of like the nature of this movie, it's not really one where you could just insert any other score either, because like you said, there's like virtually no dialogue, so we're getting all of our information from the way like the music like helps like tell us what it is like for like hearing and the like the things we see visually, so like that's how we're getting most of our information. And if we didn't have the soundtrack, like if we didn't have this soundtrack in particular, like it'd be like I don't even know what's going on, I don't know how to make sense of this movie,
Yeah,
like
the performances would kind of cue you into the emotion, but the visuals are so abstract in places.
yeah.
You would really have trouble doing it. And so what I think is really incredible about the score is that the film is ambiguous, and even though the score cues you into the emotions, the score is still ambiguous too. It's able, because there's both an organic component to it and there's a robotic industrial
Yeah.
component to it as well. And it does, this isn't a criticism because it's a film and you would expect this. A lot of it sounds very similar to each other if you just listen to the whole
That's true.
thing. A lot of it is basically boils down to, it goes go, 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 win it, go.
Yeah.
Go, but then there's a heartbeat and then there's some strings, but
Yeah.
it's absolutely perfect for the movie. The track that is most a departure, I don't know if this one stuck out to you, is the track called Love.
Oh my
On
gosh,
the,
that one's my favorite.
it's really the only one that has a warm, inviting kind of tone, because it's at the scene in the movie where she's finally met someone
Yeah,
who's
she's
just straight up
yeah.
kind. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like questioning everything, and which is like again like music is such a big component of film, and I think that often that's overlooked. Like if you have like I remember doing a film class like in high school, and it was taking like the scene from the movie 1408, um like where he's like in the window and he's trying to get people's attention, and like it like shows you like the normal like what that scene is, um with like all the creepy music, and then it like shows you that scene again but with like this very lighthearted like jolly like can we be friends kind of music underneath it, and it just completely like obviously changes what it's meant to be.
This score is, I mean, it's really good. I don't know if I'll find myself listening to it a
Yeah,
lot.
it's not something you could listen to like in a car ride, like you know what I mean, but it's something I feel like if I smoke a little weed and I'm feeling very like in my head, I could like listen to it and then like paint,
Yeah,
you know?
I did a tiny bit of studying to it at one point, and that kind of worked. But I imagine if I was driving a car and I was listening to it, I'd probably crash the car.
Yeah, no, I'd be looking around like who's following me? What's going on?
And there's parts in some of when the strings kind of get into that higher, really screechy register where my
Yeah.
muscles just tense up listening to it, because it really does, cut to your core. I would. So I guess maybe it's cool that Scarlett Johansson could drive a van or
To
whatever.
that music.
There's some visuals in this that, even though I watched it Thanksgiving and I wanted to watch it again, but I didn't have the subscription anymore, I realized it didn't really matter because it's still all in my head. Like
Mm.
it stuck with me. That scene It's one of the most unnerving things I've ever seen on film, where they go into her void and the dude sinks down into the water. And it's happened earlier in the film, but this time you actually see him go in the water.
Yeah.
His bones start constricting as his energy's being sucked out, and he sees another dude across the water. You know what scene I'm talking about?
Yes, yes. Oh
And
my
he
gosh.
reaches out his hand to touch this dude who's like clearly been down there a lot longer, and the guy just pops. He
Yeah.
just pops like a balloon, and it's horrifying. Like, it's horrifying. And the music's, crucial to that as well, because it could be, you put some other music on that, a guy popping like a balloon could be silly.
This is a movie that I feel like I have to watch like 5 more times to truly understand all of it. And I think I could do it because I do like horror films. So I
Yeah,
I could
you
sit
like some
through the
fucked up
uneasiness.
shit, and
Yeah.
this is still messed up, but it's probably on the lower
Yeah.
end of the whole spectrum. I watched an interview with the director and he was the co-writer as well. He said originally he did not want to score until the last 20 minutes of the film,
Oh,
because
wow.
in his mind, what he wanted, since we're experiencing it so much through Scarlett Johansson's character, the woman, as she's called,
Yeah.
just as she's interacting with humanity
Humanity.
for the first time, eating the cake and whatnot. He wanted it to be that when she meets the nice guy who takes her in, he wanted that he would play a record and hear music for the first time. And then for the last 20 minutes of the movie, there would suddenly be a score. And then they were like, well, that won't fucking work at all. That'll be an absolute mess. So that's when they brought Mica Levi to come on. And
Well, I think she did a fantastic job.
she did do
I mean, I love that idea though. That's like a very ambitious idea for
it
for
is
a film, and I don't think it would work. It definitely would not work, and I would probably like shut the movie off.
yeah.
Like, just thinking about it without the soundtrack, I'm like, okay, I wouldn't watch that past like the first like 5 minutes.
What is the show if not a critique and an examination of the list that Pitchfork in particular decides to put out? They did a top 50 film scores of all time. Number 2, Under the Skin clocks in at number 2, which is cool, I guess. But you look at that list, and the thing that really amazed me, number 1 is the Blade Runner soundtrack. I've never seen Blade Runner. I don't know.
I haven't either, actually.
What it sounds like. I'm sure it's good. Number 5, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. One of the greatest film scores ever. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but
I did see that movie.
You know, wah, 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 wah.
Oh yeah.
Wah, wah, wah. The Ennio Morricone score.
Yeah.
And the Ecstasy of Gold is in that, which is the song that the Ramones and Metallica would open their shows with, which is the and so they've deemed that Under the Skin is a better score than that. Do you think it really is the number 2 film score of all time?
I'm gonna say no. When I'm thinking about this, I don't know what their criteria is for like rating, like, okay, this is the number 2 film score, but like I'm taking the movie and the music into account and how symbiotic they are. I don't think that this would rank like second place for me. I think like, and this is so basic, but like movies like even freaking Jaws, I think are really good at having that like symbiotic relationship of like music and visuals. And there are a lot of other movies that I think are really excellent at it. So I can't say that this would be like in second place. If I really had to go back and like look and make my own list, it would probably be in like the top 10.
Do you have any final thoughts, Kayla? Anything you want
to You did a good job of hearing culture today.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.